good. Fifth day today, and first padded, full pad practice. I thought it went well. We definitely had a really good tempo, and our guys are really pushing themselves. Coach talks about straining our players, and I think we've done a really nice job of that so far in camp, trying to put them in positions to make them experience how tough things can get during the season, during the game, whatever. And our guys are really handling that. I think we've tried our best to identify our leaders, kind of, so to speak. Some of that will still take place, I think, during the season, but some of the guys that have been here and played some have been a little more vocal at times, which I really like. And I really like the direction we're headed. We got some young players, I think, that are going to help us in certain areas. How much, we don't probably know yet, just because it's still early, but really impressed with some of our newcomers. And again, we still got a ways off, but the days are ticking by, so we got to continue to every day go out there and get better and get ready to play a good Washington team. Any questions?
I guess the first question would be, who are those newcomers that you're really impressed with so far?
The wide receivers really jump out first. I think, between Shedrick, who was here in January, Matthew Hill has been a really impressive. I think Seth Williams has done some really nice things down in the red zone. He's a long and athletic guy. Those three kind of jump out there, but I think we got a really good young wide receiver class that, how much they'll help, we'll see how as the season progresses, but I'm excited about them, to be honest.
Jeff, Gus has talked about trying to set the offensive line, obviously, as soon as possible. You've talked about that as well. He's mentioned as early as the end of the first scrimmage.
Right.
You don't have practice tomorrow. You only got the scrimmage Thursday. Do you really feel like you only need one more go to possibly name some guys?
I don't know if we can for sure say that. We have had 3 padded practices that we got a lot of information on from that standpoint, but there's really nothing like a scrimmage, and making them play more than 4 plays in a row or set or whatever, making them play situational football back to back, whether it's red zone or third downs. And I do think when the first scrimmage is complete, we'll have a lot of live information on guys that maybe will help us decipher that, because the quicker we can get that settled and kind of get those guys working as a unit in cohesion, working side by side, double teams and all the things that go with it, I think that'll help us. And then obviously you have to have plans, because just like last year, we had guys get hurt, we had guys get banged up. You always have to have a plan in place in case something happens. So the fact that we have looked at some different combinations, I think will help us down the road. But we would definitely, as soon as we can, like to settle on an opening day starting unit for sure.
Chip, does that offensive line competition sort of come down to, is Caleb Kim better at center, or is Calvin Ashley better at right guard? Is that sort of how it comes down to right now?
I think it's a little bit of a combination of both. I mean, I think the experience is definitely important. So when you talk about guys that have played for us, the 3 guys, Tega, Marquell, and Mike, obviously some combination of those 3 guys would make a lot of sense. Now, with that being said, talented guys too that we have on our team, Calvin Ashley's of the world, Jack Driscoll, and Trox, and those kind of guys, they're all going to have some kind of role. But I think going into a game like we're going to play, we want to make sure that we feel really comfortable with the best lineup we can from an experience standpoint. But again, like I told James a while ago, we got 2 more scrimmages, real ones that we'll get a lot of information on, and we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Hey, Craig Myers has seemingly been on the edge of maybe breaking out for you. How much have you guys stressed to him, you got to be one of our top guys, especially with Eli and Will out the way they are?
Yeah, Nate came on really, I guess, the second half of the season, played really well down the stretch. He had a good spring, so I think Nate's continuing to develop and grow, and he's one of those guys that's kind of a quiet leader for us because he's played a lot. He's a big-bodied receiver that I think can make contested catches, and he's seen a lot of the different looks that we might see. So I think Nate's continuing to get better and improve, and I think we definitely want him to have a big year for sure. At the end of the day, though, I think Nate's going to do whatever it takes for our team to be. He's one of those dirty work guys that goes out there and blocks and does all the dirty work and gets that done. But he did play well toward the end of the season. I guess caught a couple touchdowns, and looking forward to him having a big year.
Chip, can you talk about Cord Sandberg, a pretty interesting new addition to the lineup?
Yeah, Cord got here, I guess, Sunday, so he's been here because his brother got married, so he's been here Sunday. What is today's Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Yep, so Tuesday, so he's been here 3 days with us, I guess, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Cord first of all, he brings a really good presence to the quarterback room. He's an older, mature guy. He understands about preparation. He really wants to do well. He takes it really serious. I mean, you could tell he's here focused on playing well and getting back in the flow. At the same time, he hadn't played in, I guess, 5 years so, or 6 years. So just throwing the football and doing some things that quarterbacks, do, footwork and fundamentals and all those things. He's still trying to work through all that. Plus, he's trying to learn the offense on the fly. So, but he's done really well. His attitude's awesome. And I think like I said, I think he's brought a really nice presence to our room.
How are the two guys at right tackle been so far in camp?
Both of them have shown flashes. Austin Troxel, one of the highly recruited guys we recruited way back a couple years ago, has played really well. I mean, he's a really smart, intelligent guy. He's kind of a technician, I think. So I think he's had good days, and then he struggled some too. But Jack has come in and really learned on the fly and done a great job. Luckily for Jack, he got here in the summer, so he's got a little bit of a head start on the offense from some of the other newcomers. He's done a nice job. He's got really good feet. I know he's a strong guy. He's played some in some big games against some SEC competition. So I think those two guys will continue to battle it out, and hopefully we'll have some answers after the first scrimmage.
What do you want to see from the offense in that first scrimmage? What reasonable expectations?
Yeah, we're going to be real simple and basic for sure. We want to see who can execute, block and tackle. I know that's the most important thing. It won't be a lot of flash. It'll be like, let's find out the answers for these running backs. Let's hand the ball to them a bunch and see who can run when they're tired and who can pass protect. Remember what to do. I think that's important. And then watch the O-line. We play against one of the best D-lines in the country every day, so I think our O-line, that helps them improve for sure. And so the first scrimmage, for me, I think usually in the fall is the one you get maybe the most information about. At least you narrow things down a little bit from a personnel standpoint.
So what have you seen out of that the running back group just early on in practice?
I think Cam Martin brings a calming effect because he's played some and he's a smart guy, and obviously he's put on a little weight, so he's a little bigger now. So I'm excited to see that. After that, I think Asa Martin's been a surprise for sure. We knew he was going to be a good player. He's a smart guy. He's been well coached in high school, so you can tell he understands what's going on. I think Jertavius Whitlow is another guy that, he's a bigger back that brings a little bit of a downhill attitude with it. Sean Shivers has been impressive. He's a freshman that I've been he's explosive. I like him. He's, I watched him in the state championship game carry the ball like 30 times, I think, for 200 some odd yards. So he's got a chance to bring a little bit different style to the table, and we'll try to use him in some unique ways. But I think those guys have done a great job so far as a unit, and I'm excited to see them get in this first scrimmage.
Gus mentioned the other day that Tarvius has shown a sense of urgency in practice and wanting to be a factor in that backfield.
Yeah.
How do you kind of quantify urgency?
I think preparation. He's tried to be more prepared. I know you guys don't get to see a lot of practice, but when he's standing out there and he blows a protection and a guy runs right in our quarterback's face, that's unnerving as an offensive coordinator to do that. Not to say he's the guy that does that all the time, but any running back that does that, and it makes you nervous about putting him in the game, to be honest. So he has really done a nice job, I think, of trying to spend extra time with our GAs and studying, the offense. And because when you put the ball in his hand, I think he can do a lot of good things, but there's so many other plays that he's got to, understand what's going on. And I think he's improved there. I think he's a little bit lighter than he was in the spring. I think he's leaned up some. I think he's still 215 plus pounds, but I think he's trying everything he can do to put himself in position to play like.
For Cam in particular, Chip, I know when you're playing an opponent as good as you are in week one, you can get by with pass protection. You did it with Chandler in the SEC championship and the Beach Bowl and stuff. But when you get into the meat of the schedule, the question with Cam has always been about pass protection.
Right.
Yes, he's gotten bigger, but skill-wise, it's just something you lack by comparison.
Right.
How confident are you in his ability to be a pass protector against the meat of your schedule?
I think more now than I was probably before, like maybe last year. Part of it is, like you mentioned, some technique, and we'll try to always put him in position where he can block guys that are good matchups for him. I think that's important for us to do as well. At the same time, sometimes you play fast and you're trying to get things going. I think he's going to have to do a good job of that. He has so far. He has done a nice job of. He's going to be on the right person, and we just got to make sure we put him in a good position.
Chip, he's up to almost 210 now. How much will that help him moving forward, just that added size that he's brought on?
I think so. The SEC is a man's league, so he's got to be ready to go. And it's a big jump to come from high school to the SEC. So I think he's done a nice job of getting his body in the best shape he can and be prepared. I think these high school guys, they come to college and they start realizing about week 7, 8, or 9, it's like, wow, this thing's still going. We got 5 or 6 more weeks, and then you throw a bye week in. The season's long, right? And it drains them some, and it's a little bit of a grind for those new guys. That's a big adjustment for high school kids to make. You'll see them, a lot of them across the country, they'll start out and play really well, and as the season goes, you'll be like, what happened to that guy? Where'd he go? And they just kind of tail off. High school's a little different animal, and I think all these guys have got to learn to handle that grind.
Sure. Can you talk about the new redshirt rule and how it might affect on how you handle personnel this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the redshirt rule is a good thing for our players. I mean, for the coaches and the players. I think it's a situation that each person, it might fit different, okay, depending on what position they play. But I think it allows us some flexibility, especially early in the season, to find out, okay, is this guy ready to really play or not? Obviously, I think it helps from an injury standpoint. We got 2 guys recovering that we're not sure exactly when they'll be back, so maybe we have to use some guys early in the season till we get those guys back. A lot of different scenarios can play out, I think, by position, but I think it's a good rule, and I think it's something that'll help college football.
Jay, both you and Gus have talked about intermediate routes and expanding that as part of the offense. For Darius in particular, I know the X has always been a vertical kind of position, but he's talked about wanting to show that he can do more, be able to do more of a diverse route tree. What shows you with him that he can do more than just 9 routes and hitches and comebacks?
Yeah, I mean, we do have a lot of those things in that he does in practice. So, I mean, I've seen him improve. I think he's been one of our brighter spots, running different types of routes. I know you guys see him catch the big ones in the games and all that, but, I think it's important to understand the defenses too. I mean, you play all these single high teams that press the boundary receiver, and they're matching all the routes. So intermediate routes are not always the right answer for that. And I think that's part of understanding like what defenses do. And everybody now is doing that. Several years ago, a lot of people were playing too high defense, quarters to coverage or whatever, and you just don't see a lot of that anymore. And Washington, there'll be multiple, they'll mix it up, but I think the style of play has changed over the years. I think that's part of it, and obviously we're not going to throw the ball 50 times a game. Hopefully, that's not what we're built to do. So, therefore, the throws we make, we want to make sure they're high percentage and kind of fit the coverage.
Chip, just Jarrett coming back now, the season under his belt, second year in offense, second year for you guys together. How different is he now in this camp as opposed to the guy that finished last season?
Yeah, I think he's calm. I think he's really worked hard on the places that he needed to improve on, as far as in the pocket and handling the ball more. I know we had a couple turnovers there toward the end. I think he's made that a priority. And then understanding more about protection. In other words, which size we're sliding to or which size the man sliding, understanding where he needs to slide up on different routes. I think he's studied that a lot, and I think it's shown in practice. And, obviously, you go through a year like he did and play in this conference for the first time. It's going to be some ups and downs. He went through them, and hopefully that'll pay off this year.
Is Devin Barrett a guy that you're going to be able to rely on and receiver something this year?
Well, I hope so. He's explosive. I mean, he's a talented guy. He's playing behind Ron Davis, so obviously, his touches may be a little limited. But the one thing we do with Devin is we use him more than just at wideout. We use him different than we do Ron Davis because he's got a running back skill set. I know last year we had like 5 or 6 things that he was really good at that we figured ways to get him the ball. We'll probably do some of that too, but at the same time, I think Devin needs to get himself into a rotation as an every down player, and he's continuing to improve for sure.
It sounds to me like you guys have so many moving pieces, whether it be a guy that can be an H-back, running back, receiver, players moving around on the offensive line. How are you guys handling it as a coaching staff when you got a game that's coming up in 3.5 weeks, and then you also have to know, all right, these are our starting 11, but we also have these different packages. Do you guys have a good grasp of what you're wanting to do there? Or?
Yeah, I think, at some point we got to cut it off and really focus on solely on Washington. I mean, we've done some of that already, but I think, our job as an offensive coach or whatever is to put our players in the best position, the things that they do the best. So it's really not as complicated as it sounds because you're just trying to put the guys in the best position. You don't ask guys to do things that they're not very good at. I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense, and that's even way back when I was coaching in high school. We put the best guys in certain spots to do the certain things we want to do. And Now, with our new freshmen and all the newcomers, you're wanting to find out, okay, what is he ready to do? What is he not ready to do? Let's don't ask him to go run by people if he's not ready to do that, or whatever the case may be. So I think it's just a continued evaluation, and you're right, you only got, what, 2 weeks really to get that done, or less, and so that's why we talk about our players all the time having a sense of urgency every day. They have to go out every day and prove it. If they're banged up, or if something's wrong and they're not getting treatment and getting themselves back on the field, then we can't evaluate them. So I think we try to make that point with our newcomers, make them understand, like, your job in college football is to, first of all, have availability, meaning be on the field, right? And some of them, I think sometimes they got to learn that, hey, they got a nick or, or a bruise or something like that. Go get treatment and be ready to get back in there, because the only way we can evaluate you is get on the field.
Typically, when you have a big game to open a season like that, coaches might want to go, let's just go with our veterans or everything. Let's wait to put out this freshman receiver till maybe week 2. Are you comfortable putting a couple freshmen out there on the field on offense, especially at receiver? Because you guys have been talking them up quite a bit, but do you think they'll be ready for that big moment?
I think it's too early to tell. I do think there's a couple that will have an opportunity to play early. I think, at some point you're going to have to play some guys. Those 3 guys that are back for us, they can't play every snap. So now it's finding out, who's ready to do that, I guess. And the ones that are, what are the things that they can do and execute and we can feel good about in a game plan. You're right, it's a lot of moving parts. You're trying to figure out who can do it and who can't. But at the end of the day, I think by the time we get ready to play, we'll have a pretty good idea.
So, where does Sal kind of fit in with those receivers going and kind of into the mix?
Yeah, Sal's a really versatile guy. He's played some tight end, he's played some slide, he's played what we call our big 3, which is kind of an H-back kind of deal. He has, when Will got hurt and Eli got hurt, he kind of increased his role from a standpoint of playing in the slot some and doing some other things. But I think Sal's got a chance to help us in a lot of ways. He's a long, athletic guy. He did have a very good spring. He's shown some flashes here in the fall, and I think he'll have a big role for us.
Big picture for Jared.
Yep.
Any OC at this time of year, if you ask them, you have your best quarterback, or how good can he be, they're always going to speak highly of him. But you could definitely make the case that you have one of the best returning quarterbacks in the country.
Right.
In your position, what's the ceiling for him? Because he could second program history in passing yards in the season. He wasn't too far behind Damien's record. What is the ceiling for him? Is it limitless potential? Is it really that easy just to say it's wherever he wants it to be? Or?
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of things to grow, a lot of places he can still grow as a player. I think he would say that, but I think the big thing for Jared is he wants to be, the unquestioned leader on our team and on our offense, and I think he wants to lead us to a championship, and I think that's something that is driving him and is important to him. At the same time, he is improving in certain areas on the field. He's very talented. We all know that, but at the same time, I think Jared wants to be a complete quarterback and be able to lead his team to a championship. And then I think right now he's excited going into this season, helping Auburn be as good as we can be in 2018.
Obviously, you and Gus and Tim have all stressed the importance of pass protection for figuring out that running back situation.
Yep.
And you touched on Cam Martin, but those younger guys that don't have as much experience or any experience in games, really, how have they come along in that regard?
And I think protecting the quarterback is important, and then obviously we feel like our quarterback's a returner that's a pretty good player, so that's a priority for us. A running back that comes into our program that's played in a system in high school that has pass protected, has done some things very similar to what we do. Being a high school coach, we run the same exact protections we do here. That was because that's what I was wanting to do as the head coach and so forth. And then you sign a running back that really hasn't been involved in that, it's going to take him longer, right? Asa played in a really good program that understands they protect it. It's the way they did it. Now, you still got to protect different guys. Now, it's bigger guys, it's faster guys, or whatever. But as long as he, gets in that rhythm with the speed of the game, he should be fine. And he's a very intelligent guy. So I think those freshmen that come in at running back, or those players that are a little bit inexperienced, I think that's the key for them, is to get over the awe of being here, and then understand that, hey, we signed you because you're a good player. So let's see what you can do and go out there and turn it loose and play.
Chip.
Yep.
Going against them in a low on 11 last year, this year. What do you see about Damon's defense and the way they play that makes them successful?
I think Kevin does a great job of of keeping it very simple for those guys. Not that they're a very simple defense. They do a few different things, but he doesn't try to overload them with information. He tries to put them in a really good spot, a very sound spot, and lets them play. I think that's important. He's got some really good leaders on that defense from my side of it. Obviously, Deshaun Davis, we know about him, and I think he's done a really nice job. The D-line's obviously very talented, but those guys play extremely hard too. You can have talented guys that don't play hard. So I think Kevin's deal is, from my experience, is watching him is just he's very, very simple, but at the same time, he demands a lot out of those guys. They play with great effort, and they love playing for him, and I think that's what makes him successful.
We've heard Sean Shiver's name a few times early in the fall. Given his size, what makes him a guy that can contribute?
Well, he did run 10.2, I think, in 100 meters, so that's one thing that's really, really exciting. And I don't know if you've seen 10.2, but it's fast, Anthony Schwartz is also very fast, but Sean also plays with an edge, He's a guy that he believes in himself, you can tell, and he's always excited to be at practice. He's always got great energy. He plays extremely hard, and he's an explosive guy for sure. And obviously we're trying to figure out where he fits for us, and all that. But very excited. He's fun to watch for sure.
How close is the competition right now between Troxell and Jack Driscoll? Very close,
I would say. Both are awesome kids and very smart, intelligent guys. Both of them are tough, physical guys. They kind of are both technicians. They're very similar in my opinion. Now Jack is an older guy that's played some, but obviously not at Auburn. Trox, redshirted, and now he's ready to go. And I think those are two good players that are going to be here for a while.
Well, one of them conceivably back up both tackles.
Yeah, I think so. Bailey Sharp's come on though, so we'll see how that plays out. Your goal always is to have 3 tackles, 3 guards, 2 centers. It's kind of your thought process, really 3 centers. One of the guards needs to be able to do it, but in a perfect world, you'd like to have a backup for every position and feel good about putting all 10 guys in the game. So we'll see how that plays out. But Bailey, I think, has made a lot of progress. Coach J.B. Grimes is a great coach. He's a fundamental guy. He's technician. He's working. All he's concerned about is his 5 guys out there. He demands a lot of them, and they love him. He's fun to be around, and he's one of the best teachers I've ever been around, and I think that's going to help that group continue to gel.
Coach Malzahn and J.B. Grimes, when he was on the speaking circuit this spring and summer, made no question about it. They believe that the onus is on the offensive line for the success of this season. How much pressure do you think that is on a guy like J.B. Grimes? But he's been through all that.
Yeah.
Is he kind of the perfect guy in your eyes to handle that when there's so much attention, especially on that right side?
And I think that's a little unfair. We're a team. It's all about us together as a unit. It's not all the offensive line. Just like, when the offensive line gets blamed for a sack, the quarterback should have thrown the ball away, the running back missed a protection, the wide receiver ran the wrong route. A lot of things go into it, but obviously that being that we lost some players up front, I understand where that's coming from. He is the perfect guy for that, without a doubt, 100%. I believe that, and I think you can see that each day as they continue to improve and get better and better and better. And we're glad he's here, and I think he'll do a great job.
Joe, just Calvin Ashley, what have you seen in his move inside the guard?
I think it's been good. He's obviously we know he can go out and play some tackle, but I think you get a big athletic guy like that in there at guard, pair him up with one of our tackles, and you can try to get some movement out of guys. And Calvin's done an excellent job. He's grown up and really getting better each day, learning to practice like you're supposed to in this league. And the sky's the limit for him. He's a really talented guy.
What was the main thing that led to the decision to move him inside?
I just think when you look at maybe the tackles that we have, it's like, okay, who's our best 5 linemen? Because at the end of the day, I think we got to find our best 5 guys and put them in the field wherever that is. And I just think, with the size he is, the athleticism he is, doing some pulling and some different things, I think it's important for us to put him in a spot and let him go. And I think we just kind of made a decision right now. That's what we're going to do.
How has Mike Boardman come along at center? I know he's alternating days there, but just how is he progressing?
Well, he's done well. He's a veteran guy. Obviously, he's played not as much at center, but he has done some before. And from what I can tell, he's making progress. His snaps have been pretty good, and obviously, the center does a lot of communication. He's a real intelligent guy, so that's not a problem for him. I think for him, it's just continuing to get reps at that position, and you know, we'll see how that plays out.
So what's the plan gonna be for him in the scrimmage between center and
Oh,
right?
he'll play some center in the scrimmage for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, they'll both play some center in the scrimmage, so.
I'm not sure how far off Nick Brown's is from
Yeah.
returning exactly, but when you only have that second scrimmage, if he's not gonna take part on Thursday,
Right.
is there any part of you that says, hey, if he can get back out there, we'll give him a go on that second scrimmage, or is this really just, it's either Mike or it's Caleb, and that's what's
No,
happening?
I think if Nick can get back and feel and be healthy and be able to practice, you know, like Nick can practice, I think definitely. I mean, we want Nick to get back as quick as he can and have an opportunity to get in there and get some reps and see where, because I think he was making progress when he got hurt, you know. So I think, but at the same time, I mean, he can only heal so fast, and that's kind of out of our hands. And when he gets back, we'll definitely give him an opportunity.
Appreciate it.